We should be live. Here we are. I'm Jack Gardner with Extra Life, here to give you a daily wrap-up of E3. Pretty exciting stuff on the first official day. We've been kind of doing some wrap-ups. You can see this is Joe Noop. This is Marcus Stewart, Aiden Strawhun. Strawhun? Okay. Okay. Strawhun. And Naomi Lugo, who have been kicking butt and posting a lot of really great stories over on community.extra-life.org. And we'll just kick things off real quick by giving a huge shout-out to our Twitch partners and affiliates for the Bits for Kids campaign they've been running. Basically, Twitch streamers can donate a portion of their bits and cheers from Twitch to support Extra Life. It's pretty awesome. Basically, you can participate in the chat and raise money for kids at the same time. It's win-win-win all around. All the time winning. All the time winning. But what you really want to know is about E3. What did we see? What did we do? I'll hand it off to Joe. What was kind of your big highlight of the day?
Today we spoke with Adam Harrington, a.k.a. the voice of Bigby Wolf from Wolf Among Us, the popular Telltale series. That was really fun. Dude is as Marcus and I discussed earlier, I believe, dude does not look like what you kind of expect a voice actor in Hollywood or video games to be. If I found him, passed out in a truck stop, I think I wouldn't really be like, huh, that's weird. He's a little rough around the edges, but that makes him very endearing. He's a very smart guy, very passionate about his craft. Talked to him briefly about the Screen Actors Guild strike, which is affecting a number of video game casts. Very well-known actors like Ashley Birch are, of course, stepping away from certain big companies because they want different terms for their contracts. And basically, yeah, he was really cool talking about his new game that he's working on called Outreach. Sort of along the lines of Adrift, the floating through space. Like what's that movie? What's that movie with Gravity? The movie with Gravity. And the award for best Gravity goes to. But yeah, it seems like that game is going to shape up really well, both in terms of like the actual design of the game. It's 4 people making it, and it looks as good as some AAA games. And having Bigby Wolf, but a drunken slob Russian version of him, will be a treat, I'm sure. Marcus actually played the game, so maybe he can speak to that a bit more effectively.
Yes, I can. So yeah, I played Outreach. It's funny, I played Adrift earlier this year, so I was kind of using what I like, kind of muscle reflexes from that, which ended up getting me killed because unlike in that game, you do not have a jetpack. And it ended up with me being jettisoned into the cold depths of space to meet an untimely death. But yeah, you play as a Russian cosmonaut. Where was astronaut? Also known as astronauts, who goes to investigate a kind of space capsule where its crew has gone missing, and you're going to go there to figure out what happened to them. And the thing that struck me immediately was the control scheme, where it's there's 2 different buttons to propel and to halt, and as well being able to roll with the stick. And it took a lot of getting used to, and I was bumping into stuff constantly. But once I got a handle on it, it became easier. But really big, really strong sense of isolation in that game. You're going from room to room, kind of finding like audio tapes and environmental cues, trying to piece together what happened. I know speaking to the writer and creator of the game, he was saying that it's very much in the vein of a narrative adventure like a Gone Home or a Firewatch, but he wanted to focus more on like interactivity. So like it starts off kind of linear, but then it very soon becomes a more open experience. Like at one point, which was really difficult, was when you saw Joe when I went outside, and it's kind of like a platforming segment in Zero Gravity where you're kind of having to propel yourself to these like ladder, kind of like ledges.
It did a really amazing job of instilling a sense of fear into you when you like screw up a jump or a grab, right?
Yeah, because you pretty much every time I made a new leap to get another ledge, I just held my breath, because when you die, it's pretty intense. Like your dude just starts like flipping out.
The audio in the game, we met the composer as well, and he does sort of a technique similar to if anyone played Doom, sort of the synth effects that they do, where they take old Russian like Korg synthesizers that haven't been used in like 30 or 40 years, and they just like tear them apart and like just make awful, like terrifying sounds from them. But it's so amazing when it's all put together.
Yeah, it was. And I died a lot on that part and was like breathing about as much as that astronaut was when he was floating into his kind of untimely death. But I might want to, yeah. I learned that about myself today. But yeah, that was a really cool game, and I walked away wanting to play more of it, which is one of the best things any demo can do. The other game that I checked out that I had to be nearly kind of pried away from was no problem, was Redeemer, which is like a top-down kind of Unreal 4 brawler where you play as this like a soldier who, after years in service, kind of decides to. Yeah, he kind of almost like a little cliche where like he walks away from the life and he goes to like live with monks.
All you need to know is this game has a move where you can reenact the Fist of the North Star.
Yeah, he does some like Ip Man just barrage of just punches to the ground. But yeah, you're going down top down and you're just kind of like a Streets of Rage, or even a little bit of Hotline Miami in there too, a little bit, where you're just going around beating up all these guys. But the combat was so good. Like the developers telling me that he took a lot of inspirations from the combat from Batman, and you kind of feel that immediately where like you have to time your blocks and parries when you see like the enemy come at you and they kind of flash red for a bit. And there's like unblockable attacks and a bunch of environmental kills. Very Mortal Kombat-esque, like just seeing like a tree branch and you're just impaling people on them. And the combat, like just every blow feels so satisfying. Like just the feedback when you hit it, like feeling the controller rumble. It's like immediately I was on board, like, all right. And it plays so fluidly. There's a cool, like he described it as like a John Wick-esque move where people with guns, you can do this disarm move. You just like take the gun from them and turn it around on them. And it's so fluid. And you just go into a room like guys with guns and you just disarm a guy and then take him out and then everyone around him just like that. It felt so good. And like I said, like I had to be pried away from it. Yeah. Yeah, like I'm a big fan of those kind of games, and God, that was hitting all the right notes. So.
I didn't really get to play too many games today. I did get my hands on Ni no Kuni 2, and that was actually very nice, very interesting game. It's very different from the first one, very more action rather than turn-based kind of gameplay. Very reminiscent of the first game as well, but not necessarily same sort of universe. Within the same realm, I would say. Did get to play some indies. They were great. Fortunately, don't really remember much of them. That is how tired I am right now. Well, most likely. I did my interviews. I've got my notes. We're okay. But one thing that really did stick out to me today was a booth with the ESA Foundation. It's actually dedicated to women in gaming. Yeah, it was incredible. I thought it was... It's ESA Foundation? Oh, no, yeah, it's literally just ESA. Yeah. They're the people who put on E3 every year. And this booth was just digital photo frames of women who are developers, who are journalists, who are different people within the industry, composers and all of that stuff. And they had a photographer there and was just taking pictures of women and posting them with inspirational quotes from them about their experiences within the industry. And I thought that was really amazing. Because, I mean... Yeah, you really should. It's definitely a little gem. It's very special to me just because I've really started to see the struggle of women within the industry. Because people are starting to realize that I'm a woman. You would be so surprised. People don't know I'm a woman because of my name. I have a very masculine name. You know, and if you don't see the picture of my byline, it's very ambiguous. Which has a lot of benefits for me, especially as a young woman in this industry. But, you know, it's I personally don't see a lot of the harassment myself, but I see it towards other women, and I see it towards other developers, and it's just really sad, especially when really idolized people can get away with calling women these hideously derogatory slurs, and we've definitely seen how much representation matters within games like Overwatch and whatnot, especially recently. And I think a booth like that definitely is standing up for that idea that representation does matter.
It's important to have a big event like this as opposed to just it's important that we put things like that here at the sort of industry standard industry show, right? As opposed to a PAX or even a GDC maybe, because that's very much facing the developer side of things. That this is something that any schmo off the street can walk into now that the show is open to the public. Goes further towards reinforcing the notion that like, hey, these companies and these people that make these things you love and that really influence your life, they come from a variety of backgrounds, and that's worth acknowledging and supporting, right?
And I absolutely agree with your point. I think that the more that we drive home the point that these are real people and they have real lives, the more we're going to see more respect towards. So, what's going on here? Oh, you must.
I just had something I wanted to add, and it's just that it's nice to have an additional opportunity just to see the people who make our games and make up this industry, because a lot of the time, like, yeah, games have credits now, but there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in those credits, and oftentimes we don't necessarily get to see all of the influential people who came together as a team to kind of make these things happen. We tend to give like credit to like the game director or the creative lead, and they're really collaborative efforts of a lot of people coming together, and I think things will improve just by highlighting how many different people actually do come together, and it's different people from all kinds of backgrounds coming together over something they love to make it real out of nothing, and that's pretty incredible. So, yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. So yeah, if you're at E3 the next couple days, check out the ESA Foundation booth in the South Hall. And now, Naomi, what was the highlight for you today? I was going to say this week.
This week. Well, the highlight for me today was just the fact that this is my first E3. Like, it was just astounding to see just the industry's finest. Like, just the production of the booths, just to see everyone's enthusiasm. I know this sounds totally idealistic, but I don't know. Everyone just had such a great energy going in there, and the developers I spoke to were all so pumped. I know it's the day one and everyone's not exhausted yet, but still, it's just, it kind of takes me away from just being a gamer in front of the game, or a journalist writing about the game. It brings the community aspect back to that. And it was crazy to see all these huge titans of gaming in one room, and yeah, it's basically gamer Christmas out there.
Yeah.
It's very Christmas and then Disneyland because of all the lines.
Yeah.
So yes.
And like just the production value, people like if you've never been to E3 before, they literally build like a mini city in the south and west halls of E3. Like there are multiple like structures that are 2 to 3 stories tall, and have multiple levels. It's not just like dioramas and stuff like that. So it's pretty incredible to actually go into the halls and see what's going on.
Yeah, no, it's top of the line stuff. Like there's gigantic character models, or actual models, I guess, that you can go and take photos on. Like there was a dragon for the new Shadow of Mordor game. People were just climbing up on that and looking so happy. So that was the big highlight for me. Was just being a dewy-eyed gamer, just looking at all the pretty lights. So yeah.
And, for me, the gaming highlight of the day was being able to play Ace Combat 7. And I don't know if Ace Combat's really considered a mainline series anymore. It's always kind of had kind of a niche.
Highfalutin jet game out there, I guess. Well, now that Crimson Skies is getting a remaster, maybe we'll get a run through.
Yeah, maybe, but it's always been one of my favorite series just because it combines kind of JRPG story elements into like a highly realistic flight sim, but that also plays like an arcade game. And so it has like this super dramatic story where things go wildly hyperbolic. And so I got to actually play that for a little while today, and A, still looks as good as ever, and B, still plays as good as ever, and C, it was in VR. So I got to fly a jet off an aircraft carrier and then shoot down a bunch of enemy planes while doing barrel rolls and doing full-on stunts. It was amazing and fun, and I felt like I was flying. It was really cool. And that was definitely the highlight. It's always a highlight for me whenever I feel like I've been flying for a day. Except when you're actually flying for a day commercially, yeah. But yeah, so we haven't talked about Nintendo. Nintendo kicked off the day. I know it's hard to remember back at the beginning of today because things were pretty crazy throughout most of the day for us. But Nintendo had pulled out some pretty big guns this morning. It was surprising.
Brief but big guns.
Yeah.
Of course, I think maybe the most obvious one is Metroid Prime 4. We haven't had a Metroid Prime game for about 6 years.
What do you mean? We got one last year.
Oh yeah. Metroid FIFA, yeah.
It had Prime in the title.
Yeah. Oh man, main canon, yeah. And then I guess we got new Kirby, new Yoshi, and Kirby looks to be a multiplayer game. We have more footage from Mario Odyssey, of course. Release date for that as well. And you covered this, so maybe you're the authority here.
I don't know if I'm the authority, but Super Mario Odyssey, I believe, is coming out October 28th. I want to say 27th, 28th, something around there. And it looks incredible. Definitely very charming and very different from the typical Mario games. New Donk City.
Which they recreated today.
Did they really?
You
Gotta go over to the West Hall.
And that West Hall, pretty much as soon as you walk in, that whole middle-ish section is just New Dog City, complete with a Central Park area with park benches and bushes that have Nintendo switches undocked so you can sit down and play Mario Odyssey. I have a few pictures of it, and then they have half of it is just lines with screens upon screens with Mario Odyssey demos that were, of course, just filled to capacity. And then you see the replica of the ship that he flies in with the big Mario Odyssey balloon. They've got a giant chain chomp with Mario hat on, and street lamps with the question mark blocks, and a bullet bill with hats. It's pretty wild, but then it's no, it's pretty Nintendo-y. It's kind of like pretty much the amount of effort that they put into their Zelda booth last year, they did with this year. It's something. You see some pictures of it.
I was just gonna ask you guys what you thought about the new game mechanic that they introduced, where Mario could actually possess things in the world.
T-Rex. A Tyrannosaurus.
Finally, Mario possession.
Finally. The trifecta.
He's possessed all of our hearts for 30 years. So.
And our wallets. Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
He's possessed our money. Yeah, the other thing, at least for me, that came out of the Direct was Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is a sequel to the Xenoblade Chronicles, the 2012 Wii one, not 2X, that came out 2 years ago. So the game that has Shulk, okay, the game where you're really feeling it, that's getting a sequel, just to clarify. Though none of the original cast is in it, as far as I can tell, but it stars 2 more. But that got a pretty lengthy trailer, and I'm a big fan of that game, so...
They're there. Not very much information, but there is going to be a new Pokemon RPG, core RPG. And they basically said that Game Freak started on it, so that means it's probably not going to come out for a very long time. But we have some hope. We have something to cling to.
It'll still come out before Final Fantasy.
Don't say such things.
Oh, probably.
I mean, like that's kind of the thing about Nintendo's press conference. I was super impressed by pretty much everything that they announced. Like I was like, I want to play that. But a few of their biggest announcements were more, hey, we're making this thing, rather than this thing is on its way. Like, it was less exciting to me just because it's less imminent, if that makes sense. It was more like, we started doing the thing, rather than we're almost done with the thing.
I think for, at least in the case of Metroid Prime 4, that's probably enough for fans, because the fact that they could just say, yeah, we're doing this, is a lot better than what's been years of, like, nothing. So yeah, it's like, okay, like, at least me personally, like, okay, I can live with it for now that you're actually doing this. So
it is. Yeah. It really is the video game industry equivalent of Notice Me Senpai. Let's all be honest.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not a big problem. I'm not, like, mad or anything. Like, it was just something that kind of diminished my initial excitement. Like, you saw the logo, and then, like, at the bottom of the screen in tiny letters were like, is entering into development, or like something along those lines. I was like, oh, okay, well.
They should have prepared that timeline and just stop.
They even said most of these games are going to come out in 2017. Like, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They said that in the middle there.
You're seeing a rash of that. You're seeing a rash of that in recent years with PlayStation, especially, of like, hey, let's make a chock full Nintendo Direct or press event, and oh, by the way, you will not see these games for 3 years. God help you. And you won't see anything about them in the 2 years, after. You won't see any additional update trailers or anything like that, because we're just kind of in way pre-alpha.
Yeah, I mean, even with the Pokemon game, that was a way to appease fans, I think, who were disappointed at their Pokemon or Nintendo Direct. That was on the 6th, I believe, because they had this great line, like, Pokemon is coming to Switch, and then they're like, oh, by the way, it's a Wii U game, and it's Pokken, and it's not really, core Pokemon. So I feel like they just kind of slipped in, oh yeah, by the way, there's going to be a new game, because they just wanted to shut us up for a little bit, which is
Fair enough.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
So, like, Naomi, it wasn't just your first E3. Joe and Aiden, this is both your first times as well. Marcus, this is your second time. You were with me last year. Do you guys want to talk just a little bit about, like, what it's like going to E3 for the first time? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so in my experience, I've been to 3 game developers conferences in past years, and then 1 PAX West, and a number of like smaller Chicago area events. And I mean, I'm trying to like temper my hype and emotions with the idea of like I don't have a frame of context or a frame of reference for a lot of this. It is still, I continue to be amazed by how big this industry gets, and how big sort of the powers that be that run it can feel like. You see a big Sony sign, and you're like, oh my God, this is, I feel privileged in a sense to be here and experience this before a majority of the population that would love to play it. If you can, get it into an appointment or something. I will say that, like, I mean, obviously this year the big kind of differentiation is that we have 15,000 people showing up on the doorstep who have little to no media affiliation or like no, company association. These are just fans for fans' sake, coming in and trying to play games before they're out because they, have a fascination and a fondness for them. And it remains to be seen. Like, we're still day one, of course. Maybe things will pick up, but I hope to God that people are, getting their money's worth, because E3 was not always a public event. It was a media-only thing, and that had its ups and downs, and this certainly has its own ups and downs. Make sure you take 20 minutes to walk anywhere.
I mean, for me, the biggest thing is that it's been sensory overload. It is, like, I've done conventions and things before. I'm very used to event coverage, but I've never covered anything to this scale. I'm this little bitty nothing Midwestern girl who lives in South Florida right now, and it's very obscure to me and surreal that I'm actually in a place like this. Like so early on in my career and so young too. It's very strange that this dream of mine that I had ever since I was like really little is finally actually happening. And I had one of those moments today. I was over the Xbox booth and I was looking up at all the signs. I was like, holy schmolios, I'm here. You know? It's a good save. But you know, it's like Joe said, it's a privilege to be there. It's an honor to be there. There are ups and downs with it. The public access is a little bit frustrating. I won't deny that. Just because it's not as easy to get around as I would hope. But it is still an amazing and just mind-boggling experience. It's, like I said, it's surreal. You know, it's unlike anything else. So, all right, should we start wrapping up?
Well, just like just a couple more things. Like, this is our first live. This is our first live wrap up. We've done a few days of wrapping up on community.extra-life.org, which you can go listen to those. You can go read a bunch of really cool articles and stuff like that, written by these fine folks and me, and this mess. But you know, for the people who are watching or who will watch this on the Facebook page. What has been, because we're past all of the press conferences now. What has been like the one highlight for you, the thing you're most excited about from everything you've seen so far?
Give me a second to think about that. Yeah.
That's a real hard question.
You know, this is kind of a weird one, but seeing all the fans here, it's, you know, I guess it's like half a little annoying because it's just more people you kind of have to wait through. But like standing in line and watching people's enthusiasm, because it was like, this is my second E3, and last year I had the same reaction you guys, where like E3 was always a bucket list thing, and I finally got to do it. And kind of seeing people have that same moment of like, I imagine everyone here has always had that mystique about E3. No matter how much you see or read about it, it's not the same as actually being there. It's like, this is what it's really like. And I'm actually just a little bit envious of them because they get that, but they don't have to work. So it's like they get the best of both worlds.
2 hours for these guys, you know?
Yeah, they can just show up and get that experience, but without the kind of like the stress of trying to make appointments and yeah, like that stuff. So it's like just kind of watching people just light up at everything has been pretty fun.
Yeah, cop out. Yeah, I like Tunic. We're answering like what is our
Yeah, the one big thing that from all the press conferences,
Yeah.
everything you've seen today, what has been like one?
I love PAX because it is a very efficient fan event, and I love GDC because it is a very efficient and passionate and intelligent developer-facing event where you speak with, and everyone is just leagues smarter than you. E3 feels like maybe the quintessential kind of all-around beast. You know, there you are, in fact, you know, talking to developers or, you know, rubbing shoulders with important people, but you are having some level of like, you're allowed to be excited in a fanboyish way. Obviously, don't like stand up in the middle of a conference and do the "we're not worthy" speech. I saw you, random dude, during the Days Gone presentation, but you know, we're all human and we're all here because we are genuinely excited to either show off or absorb the hard work that all these developers have put in, and I can't knock that.
Okay. Do you have your answers? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, yeah, like it was really hard, like just walking in to our meeting room. Like I saw Bernie Burns from Rooster Teeth, and I had like a moment. I was like, and I like looked at him weird, made eye contact, and I was like, no, you have to be professional, and just nodded. I don't know if he nodded back, but just kept on going. It was just hey. But I'm just gonna be idealistic again and answering your question, Jack. And just what excited me most was just seeing these amazing trailers and just the fact that the graphics of our games now are to this level. Like, we're going straight from cutscenes to gameplay. That's just, it's still mind-boggling. I know that we have these amazing consoles that, you know, are just announced. Xbox One X, the PS4 Pro has been out for a while. Like, these are machines that are capable of this, but it just, I don't know, it's always...
It's a good time to be playing.
Yes, it's just crazy to me that we're there with graphics, and you know that was just, I mean, seeing Anthem, just that smooth transition from, you know, seeing a cutscene, talking to a person with these amazing facial animations, and then gliding through the world, not just walking away and, you know, looking through the market, but actually gliding and diving and then going straight to combat and everything looking good. Like, I know, of course, there's some wiggle room there where it's not always going to perform like that, but there's still the capacity that if you're on the latest console and, like, the tech is there, like, you can make your games look this beautiful. So, yeah, that's my highlight.
Mine is super lame, and that is getting to meet every single one of my author crushes. Joe being one of them. Joe being a major one of them. But no, it's just been really amazing to finally be able to meet a lot of these people, because I mean, I just started with GameSpot as a weekend editor. I got to meet most of the news team today, and that was a huge honor, and just such a delight. Like, I got to be in the same room as their editor-in-chief. Like, you know, unfortunately I didn't get a chance to meet him because he was, you know, busy and in the EIC fluster, but still, that was just incredible to me, because they are such a big name in games media, and to be a part of them is, I don't know how I did it. And then also being able to just connect with all of these different people from all different sorts of parts of the industry. It's just really insane. And I am too tired.
Also, my real answer is Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was kind of looking more for like favorite games, but you all gave really moving, emotional answers, so I'll let it pass. Except for you, Marcus, with the last minute save for Spider-Man. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. We're gonna close out. Please, as always, if you're interested in what Extra Life is all about, playing games, helping kids, bonding over these crazy little miracles that are video games or just games in general, head over to extra-life.org and you can, you know, find out more about it or register and choose a Children's Miracle Network hospital that you want to support, and then 100% of all the money you raise through Extra Life goes directly to that hospital to treat sick and injured kids. It's really, really amazing. So, yeah, and I think the only other thing I was told to say was about Bits for Kids. I think if you want to learn more about that, you can head over to extra-life.org/bits4kids. And I'm really proud of myself for not saying bits and kids, because I have been mentally telling myself not to say that all day. Julie from Extra Life knows what I'm talking about. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in, and we are going to sign off here. Thanks for watching.